Good morning. It's great to be back in Winston, Salem. I'm so glad to be here. I do want to announce that sometimes when you write a sermon, it allows itself to lots of controversy and talk back, and other times there just kind of are. And I don't always know that before I write the sermon. So I have in the order of service a congregational response, but this sermon hopefully is more evocative than provocative. But I don't know what sort of debate we would have afterwards. So I'm not going to do a congregational response today. Geraldine read the words of Walt Whitman, which were in part, "Whoever you are, come travel with me. Traveling with me, you will find what never tires. The earth never tires." I return to you from traveling. In this summer of high gas prices, I chose a road trip. 2,200 miles round trip and about 800 miles of side trips. I am blessed with this American curse, of which Walt Whitman wrote, "The lure of the road, wanderlust. The earth never tires." I ride through those West Virginian mountain passes and where the earth has been exposed by dynamite, only to reveal the strata and upheavals of geological time. The earth never tires. It is eternal yet changing, eternally changing, imperceptibly at times and violently at others. We humans make borders across the land, and the map has these little dotted lines. But the earth shakes off those borders and makes its own. It gives passages to river. We cross the Ohio River and continue north. And then it flattens the land. It flattens into plains where once glacial lake covered southern Michigan. And then the northern Michigan land rolls from the dirt deposited by those same glaciers as they melted away. The earth remains. The land of Michigan has taken the shape of a hand, and I grew up on the northern tip of the index finger. People settled in my hometown because of large deposits of limestone, a rock essential to the making of steel and cement. The car I drive and the roads I drive upon. There is a gray hole south of my hometown, so deep that trains and telephones run through it, about 2 miles wide and about 5 miles long. It is larger than the town it supports. Most of the earth has been removed from my hometown. And as it has moved away, so have the people. Only about 2/3 of the population remains from when I was there growing up. A portion of us returns for a reunion, but we have moved on to other land that can support us. However we earn our living, we owe it to the land. My hometown is merely a graphic and gross example of what the United Nations prayer talks. It's strip mining. It's not pretty. They still have a small operation going there, but maybe in 20 years, even that will stop. But the land will take over. Water will flow into that quarry. Already you can see in inactive areas of the quarry where plants are working their way back in and growing. The earth never tires. It keeps on pushing against all we do to it. However, we earn our living. I don't earn my living as a miner, but I owe my living to the land. I print my sermons on paper, which come from trees that grow in the soil. I speak them in a building made of wood and steel and glass and stone. The earth never tires. We may dig and plunder. It may be scarred. If we mistreat it, we will disappear, but the earth will remain. And earth will cover the remains of our civilization. Archaeologists uncover previous civilizations that were dependent upon the earth, some that even worshiped the earth. Often it was portrayed as a great mother that provided for her children. Dr. Christopher Whitcomb of the University of Sweetbriar in Virginia writes, "The concept of an earth mother or mother goddess or great goddess derives primarily from the Greeks. In the Theogony written in the early 7th century BCE, the poet Hesiod named the deep-breasted earth Gaia, a firm seat of all things forever, who after emerging out of chaos brought forth starry Uranus, the sky, the mountains, and the sea. And Plato calls her Gaia. According to his description of Greece, there was an altar and sanctuary dedicated to Gaia at Olympia. Often the Mother Earth is portrayed as a fertility goddess, as I got on this lovely tie I bought in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I like liturgical ties. The most famous early image of a woman, is the so-called Venus of Willendorf, found in 1908 by an archaeologist in Austria. The statuette, which measures about 4 inches in length, was carved from a fine, porous Ulick limestone not found in the region, and so must have been brought to the area from another location. A study published in 1990 of the stratigraphic sequence of the 9 superimposed archaeological layers comprising the Willendorf deposit now indicates the date for the Venus of Willendorf around 24,000 years before the Common Era. Dr. Whitcomb cautions us that the term Venus suggests that it was a goddess figure, but since it predates Greek culture by so many thousands of years, we can't necessarily ascribe theological status to the woman of Willendorf. And you might be familiar with this figure. It's the very plump figure of a woman who has some kind of headdress covering her face. But whoever she was important. I'm intrigued that she was made of limestone, the substrata of my hometown, and was carried far away from that land that she was created in. The figure was important to whoever carried her such a distance. She came from earth in one place and returned to earth in another. This earth, however vast, is still one earth. We rise up out of the dust and return to the soil. Before my ancestors moved from Europe to northern Michigan, the land was populated by the Algonquin Indians. who told stories of Nokomis, the grandmother of the Creator. It is on these legends that the Unitarian poet Longfellow based his poem Song of Hiawatha. Nokomis was the earth goddess of the Algonquin people. She fed all living things, plants, animals, and people. The daughter of Nokomis was Manoa, which happens to be the name of the road that runs behind my high school. And along that road is a rock in which I painted class of 1978. And it has probably been painted over 30 times in the 30 years that I've been gone from my homeland. Humanity strives to make its mark on the planet, whether it's cave paintings or overzealous 17-year-olds. Each generation tries to improve the past, and each generation will not last. Each generation will pass. My grandmother, my Nokomis, is buried in that land. The land itself is Nokomis, my grandmother. The land will last. We will leave. We move on from one patch of land to another until we return to the arms of our grandmother. The earth is the ground of my becoming. The earth is the ground of my being. The earth is the ground of my returning. Paul Tillich, the 20th century theologian, often referred to God as the ground of being. He asked, is it possible to regain the lost dimension, the encounter with the holy, the dimension which cuts through the world of subjectivity and objectivity and goes down to that which is not world, but is the mystery of the ground of being? The combination of the word ground and being is paradoxical. Ground suggests an existence as tangible, solid, rock solid. Being is a verb. A verb of being is. And life depends on what your definition of is. Empires have been shaken by such intangible questions of being. The ground of our being is the quest to find something solid in our brief existence. All of us are recycled matter, parts of the earth that has been reconstituted to form human beings. Each of us with the audacity to declare, I am, even though our being as human beings is temporary. We seek the connection to the eternal. The ground beneath our feet supports us as our eyes search the heavens. Where is the ground of our being? Where do we feel most at home? Walt Whitman calls us to walk across the land, to travel, and to expand our sense of place. The earth never tires. It was there before we were and will accept us when we die. There is a term from science fiction that we might embrace. I find it hard to say with a straight face. Earthlings. Earthlings. We have heard the fictional alien creatures call us by that name. Beings of the earth. Earthlings. Foundlings of the ground beneath our feet. Earthlings, embrace the earth, love your mother, love your grandmother. The earth is the source of life, the repository of death, and the regenerator of life. On August 9th, during my vacation, I covered a lot of ground. Gail and I drove 563 miles from the plains outside of Chicago to the Appalachian Mountains and down into the valley that contains Knoxville, Tennessee. The next day we went to the Tennessee Valley UU Church, where 2 weeks prior a gunman brought death to their sanctuary. In that lobby of the church is a map of the United States. It's covered with dots, representing each place that has sent them support. All across this land, people have responded to this tragedy with love. The earth tells us that death is not the end. Its victories are finite. The earth never tires of bringing forth new life. We are earthlings, part of an interdependent web that extends for miles and miles. The earth is a source of life, the repository of death, and the regenerator of life. Be aware of the earth beneath your feet. And the earth beneath our feet may change. I grew up on stony beaches where the rocks are washed smooth by the waves, so smooth that they're able to skip across the surface. Some of you have been to the sandy Carolina shore, others to the Rocky Mountains, and we gather here today upon the red common clay. But if you walk behind the church, where gracefully the lawn has not come in, you can look at the clay, and in the clay behind our church are bits of mica, a lot of mica that reflects the light. The ground is as diverse as the people who stand upon it. The grains of sand, the clods of dirt, the boulders, and the muck all seem different, but are part of one earth. The ground of our being is defined in many ways: goddess, nature, ultimate concern, God. These and other names are but many pathways on one earth. The earth, which Whitman says, is rude, silent, incomprehensible at first. Nature is rude and incomprehensible at first. Be not discouraged. There are divine things well enveloped. I swear to you, there are divine things more beautiful than words can tell. May we bless and be blessed.